Good afternoon, guys and gals. This is Taylor. I'm going to take a look at some of these chart requests that you guys have given me on Reddit here. I'm a swing trader, so typically I have time during the day, so it's nice to be able to do things like this. So let's get started. The first chart that I want to look at is PTX. And PTX here, and I'm just going to annotate these as I see them, and I'm going to go over it. Okay, so first I want to put out a little disclaimer with these, penny stocks essentially, is that a lot of times the charts are on a long-term basis are not as easy to read as some of the other charts like, Apple, Tesla, some of the big board names. So just kind of throwing that out there. But right here on PTX, I see support at about 40 cents, and I see resistance at about 70 cents. So you can see that 40 cents getting hit a few times right here, almost getting hit. I'll zoom in right here. Right a little bit lower, about 44 cents right there. So right around this level, about 40 cents is where that support is. And then the highs over here, right here, almost right there, hitting just below 70 cents. So right about there, 70 cents, 40 cents, we're in a 30-cent range right here. If we break outside of that range, most likely we're going to be heading higher. We've got a gap to fill right here. So if we break over 70 cents, we can fill that gap above there. Beyond that, I don't really want to give too many thoughts just because, like I said, the longer term charts are a little bit hard to read on these penny stocks. But here's that next pretty decent resistance right around just below $2, around 185. You can see from the low right here, and all these lows right there. And when you break below below support, it becomes resistance. So now that we're below that level, it is resistance. So hopefully that'll help you out there. Next, I want to look at Mark McEasy says UBSFY. All right, so let's check out UBSFY. Okay, so another one here, you see how this is gapping all over the place. So this is one that's, I personally would not trade this. I'm not an investor. I'm a trader, and the only thing that matters to me is price. And how it's behaving. So right here, the only real thing I'm seeing is we did break over this resistance here, about $7.60 right here. You can see there was resistance right here, here, and then we broke over that. So this is a nice little flag right here. So more than likely, it's going to be heading higher. And this is, in fact, all-time highs for UBSFY. We can look at the weekly chart, and we can see that this is all-time highs. You can see that it started in 2010, and we are at all-time highs, and it is trending higher. So a nice looking stock right here. No reason for it to continue downward unless it wants to change that trend. All right, next one we'll look at, call me Daddy-O, says RLYP. Alright, so I'm going to delete all these annotations that I have for RLYP, and I'm just going to start over here, and I see a downtrend line right here. You can see that's very clear. Many touches right here, almost right here, here, a few touches here, here, and here. And we're running into that right now as we speak. So more than likely going to continue to the downside from here. If it breaks over that downtrend line, then we can look for higher prices. But until that happens, we've been in a downtrend for about a year and a half. Okay, so the trend is down on this time frame. Of course, if we look at the weekly chart, yeah, I mean, definitely a downtrend right here. It looks like it could have a bottoming formation, but we'll see. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but definitely has big support near $12. You can see on the weekly chart where every candlestick represents a week of trading. You can see that this was $12 was near its IPO price, and then we've got a dip over here, and then recent dips in 2016, all bouncing from that $12 range. So we've got this downtrend line. If we break over the downtrend line and hold over it, then we can head much, much higher. If we end up continuing lower, we can look for a bounce near that $12 mark. If $12 is lost, then RLYP is going to head much, much lower. All right, Beach Booty is requesting Under Armour. All right, so let's look at Under Armour, and I'll just leave these lines here, no big deal. So we did break out of this little box that we were in here on this candle right here. If you're not familiar with boxes, they're a very profitable trading strategy, and the best thing about them is that they're very simple to draw. All you need to do is to be able to draw two straight lines. So we've got resistance here, 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 and then over here on the downside, these couple touches down here. So the box was between about 35 and 39 right here, and then we broke out of that. So that's about a $4 move. So about a $4 move from there, and we already hit it, is about 42.50. So we already hit the target from that box. We can look for support down here at about 39, and then we've got, let's see if I can chart this a little bit. I'm going to look at the weekly chart, see if I can get a little better read right here. So we do have a decent downtrend line right here, but that's not for another maybe $4 or so, and that's if we make it up there. So if we do end up making it up there, that's going to be that resistance right around $45 is right around where that downtrend line is going to be. So support at 39 and then resistance at about 45 from this downtrend line. Okay? All right, next one I want to cover is LNG from WD-Efflect. Okay, LNG. All right, so LNG here. Let me get a feel for this. I'm seeing a potential downtrend line right about here, and you can just see it's got several touches. Look at that, it's just grinding up against it. So we've got a downtrend line that's above us, and then seeing some pretty decent resistance that's going to match up perfectly with that. And why is that resistance right there? It's from these lows, and I'll zoom in here a little bit, the lows of these few candles right here, and then as you can see we broke below it and then retested it a couple times before heading lower. Another resistance I'm seeing is right around here. You can see the highs of this candle, this candle, this candle, this candle, and right around where we were the last several days. So right around $40 or so is resistance, $44 to $45 is resistance, and then on the downside we've got support down here, pretty nice support around 31.60 or so. You can see that we bounced from it here, 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 and here. So that's what I'm looking at. So support at 31.60, resistance at 40, and also 44. And remember, we've got that downtrend line up here. So this is another somewhat of a box formation right here. You can see that we're trading between 40 and 31.60, many touches on both sides. So a break outside of that box, whichever direction it is, it doesn't matter which way it heads, would be a nice signal for a trade. So keep that on watch. All right, MSTX from Mr. Whisker. MSTX. All right. Oh, it looks like someone has requested this before. So what we have here is we've got some support around, and again, you know, with these, this is a penny stock. It's under $1, so very difficult to trade based on technicals. But as you can see, you can clearly see that we traded sideways up in here for quite some time. You can see right here on the weekly chart, and this is going back, you know, a few years. You can see how sideways we were trading right here. So a lot of resistance in this way as far as longer term is concerned. I think I can draw a downtrend line right here that we broke over. That's a decent downtrend line. Not my favorite, but definitely a decent downtrend line on the weekly chart. You can see that it has a touch here, 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 and then we broke over it right here. So we broke over that downtrend line. I believe we can draw another downtrend line from these highs. And that one's even better right there. So we've got a touch here, 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 and then we broke over it again, similar spot over there. So could end up heading higher. Ideal entry is down towards 38. If we lose about 35, if we lose about 35, 34, I personally wouldn't want to be in this stock any longer. That's just me, though. All right, next stock, hate lore, VMW. Okay, so VMW, I'm going to look at the daily chart here first. So a couple things I'm seeing. Today it looks like we broke over some resistance. You know, that resistance was right around $63 or so. And we came up here to fill this gap. So we filled that gap today. So there was that gap right there from the close of this candle right there. So we filled that gap. And then moving forward, I see, if we do end up popping, I see some pretty heavy resistance up here near about $76 from the lows of these candles right here and then these candles right here. So a lot of sideways action. So with sideways trading, that's how support and resistance is created. Okay. So support at about 63, main resistance is about 76, and then we can draw, I believe, a trend line here. Yeah, so that's a pretty nice trend line. We've got a touch here and then a couple touches here. So that's something you want to be aware of as well. All right, next one, let's check out EA, Electronic Arts. So EA, very bullish stock. You know, we broke out to all-time highs here, $80. But as you can see today, we're not really holding this level. So to me, you know, I want to see this $77 range hold. If we can hold these, that level, then we can definitely head higher. You can see how we were trading in a box here in that 77 to 71 range, and then we broke outside of the box. If we do end up closing below this box, to me, that risks it being a false breakout here, and I personally wouldn't necessarily want to be, I would kind of use that as a stop personally. I'm not really interested in shorting it right here. There's a big difference between taking a stop out on a long and shorting it. So for me, that's pretty much it. That's the level that I want to see hold. Above 77 bullish, below 77 I don't want to be long. Roads Alive says, do the dust, dude. Alright, I'm going to do the dust. Alright, so I'm going to delete all the drawings that I have here. Alright, so dust. Big resistance. I know this is a really long ways away, but big resistance up near about 110. You can see that the lows over here got hit, here, and then we finally broke through it right there. So now that we're down here, we're seeing a little bit of support near 550 or so. 550 is that support. And then we've got a little bit of resistance right near about 630. So this is a little mini box here. You can look for some upside if we end up closing above about 630. And if and when we do that, we're going to have some resistance at about 750 and then some resistance at about 880. You can see it from the highs of these candles and the lows of these candles right here. So support 550, next resistance is 630. We did the dust. All right, Microsoft, specifically how today's earnings report could affect it. I'm definitely going to chart Microsoft, and I'm going to get rid of all these drawings that I've done previously on here, just so we can do it fresh. Specifically how earnings is going to affect it, well, I personally pretty much rarely ever hold a stock through earnings unless the chart is speaking volumes to me. So right now, this chart right here is not saying anything that I want to be listening to. We don't have, this isn't a super clear pattern that I'm seeing, at least. I see, and as far as how earnings is going to affect it, I have no idea. Nobody has any idea, except for the people that are going to release the news. But what I can tell you is that we do have some pretty nice support around 48.50. You can see that's where we bounced from pretty hard the last time. Over here as well, and then as you can see over here, it was resistance. So this is a key level right here, about 48.50. If for some reason the earnings reaction is poor and it bounces and it hits right around 48.50, to me that would be a good buying opportunity. If we close below 48.50, then I would no longer be long. On the top side, we've got resistance right around $56, $57. As you can see, we've got rejected here, here, and here as well. All right. Hot sushi hiking. All right, I like hiking and I like sushi. Let's check out MUX. All right, so MUX. Let me see if I can see something on the weekly chart. So another thing I want to point out, I know it's already happened, but you know, this is another kind of a box type play, and you can see that after trading essentially sideways for a year, we broke outside of that range right here, and you can see that we saw a big dramatic move. So when you see tight Bollinger Bands, the Bollinger Bands are the gray lines right here, and you don't need the Bollinger Bands to tell you that this is a really tight range. You can just see it. So this is what, like a 50-cent range for a year, just trading back and forth, and then we finally broke outside of it. So this pattern is really something that you need to be aware of. Just trading in a tight range, you can call it a box, whatever you want to call it, but and the reason why these patterns produce such big moves is because it's building up energy. Okay, it's building up energy, and the big boys, you know, the hedge funds, the insiders, the people that know about this company, which is not us. Okay, if you think you know about it, you don't know. So the only people that truly know what's going to be happening with the company is going to be those insiders. So the best tool is to use this chart. So they could be selling in here, but once it breaks outside of this box, you realize that they were accumulating in here and not selling. So they're selling, they're buying all throughout here, and then they're selling on the way up here. Okay, so they're accumulating in this box, accumulating, and then it breaks out of that range, and that's what you want to look for that breakout. All right, so moving forward with this specific chart, you know, I'm seeing some resistance right around $5 from these candles right here, and you can see that we got rejected right there. So that's going to be the resistance, and this is the weekly chart. Support is going to be right around 350 or so. You can see that a couple of candles stalled right here. The low of this candle, close of this candle, high of this candle, right around 350. And as you can see, this was resistance before. So now that we're above it, it is support. And then, of course, the next resistance is going to be right around, just around $6 or so. So if we break over 5, that next resistance is going to be $6. Okay? All right. Tesla long term. Eddie Raper. All right. Tesla long term. And I know that I have this one marked up. So I'm just going to delete all these, and you can just see me do it fresh. Okay. So one thing I'm seeing here is we've got, to me, what looks like a false breakdown here. This is a really nice level. This 180 or so level, you can see that it bounced from here several times, and then we broke down below it, and then we broke back above it. So if you don't know about false breakdowns and false breakouts, they can produce some pretty dramatic moves in the opposite direction. So breakdown here, this is a pretty clear breakdown, nice short signal, but then it broke back above this support, and that signaled the false breakdown. I mean, you can see that we saw a really nice move, you know, $100 move to the upside from there. So big move, definitely something that you want to be aware of. Another thing that we have going for us is right there. So we had a downtrend line right here, and then we broke over it here. And as you can see, this is where we're getting a bounce from. every time, okay? So definitely looks like Tesla can head higher. Um, Something that concerns me just a little bit. Price is king and the patterns are king, but we are seeing a downtrend here on the RSI, lower highs, lower lows, and even though we did have that false breakdown, it can break down again. So let's look at the monthly chart since you said long term. So here's a really nice box. This is exactly what we're talking about on the box here. So we'll use the monthly time frame because you can see here that both the weekly and the daily chart broke below this 182 level, but you can see on the monthly chart this formed a really big hammer and ended up closing back above that level. So what you want to look for is either a break over this 274 or so, or a break below this 180. You can see that we're trading in this tight range. Definitely a box here, and definitely something that you want to be aware of. So a break outside of that box in either direction is going to send Tesla for a pretty big move, whichever direction it decides to break out in. All right, Nintendo, Minga Fier, NTDOY, NTDOY. Okay, so let's look at the daily chart first. So somewhat of a box breakout here. You can see that we were trading pretty sideways for quite some time, between about $15 and $20 right here, and then we broke outside of that range, and you can see that we pretty much blasted off over there. So let's look at the weekly chart. A lot of resistance up here in this range. You can see that this is where we had a lot of sideways trading up here. So a lot of resistance, and that's how that resistance is created. A lot of sideways trading. So that's where that resistance is. You can see this is the volume by price bar. You can see that this is where most of the volume has traded. So definitely heavy resistance, and I would definitely be trailing those stops if you're long. AMD, Kinekiko, AMD on this week's ER. Again, earnings are very hard to predict. So unless the chart is screaming buy or sell, then I never play earnings, and I actually never hold through earnings either. So, but as it stands right now, and this is the weekly chart here, you can see that if for some reason we do drop down to 160, that's definitely going to be a good buying opportunity. This is the weekly chart. You can see that we bounced from it over here, over here, over here, and over here. And we broke over this pretty key resistance that was keeping us down for a while, around 460. So that is support. Next, main. Oh, another thing I'm seeing here is I can draw is a downtrend line. And we broke over the downtrend line. So there's that downtrend line. We've got several touches over here, 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 and then we broke over that. So not only broke over this resistance right here, but we broke over this downtrend line. So AMD definitely looks strong. So more than likely, you know, I would expect more of a positive reaction from earnings, but again, you know, earnings are a crapshoot, but this chart definitely looks good to me. Next, main resistance, I'm not really seeing any until about these peaks right there, and that's about $8, so just above $8. So support 460, 450. Yeah, you could even draw some support down here. Yeah, so around, well, let's call it 430. So 430 support. Between 460 and 430 is where that support is, as well as the downtrend line that we broke over. If we end up touching back down there, that's probably going to be a buying opportunity. If we break back below that, I probably wouldn't really want to touch it until 160. So definitely want it to hold 430. If it does hold 430, I think we can tag that $8 level up there. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys letting me do that video for you. I'll definitely be stopping in from here on out, maybe every day, every other day, something like that. Let me know what you thought of the video, and I'll see you next time.